We're back. Welcome to another episode of Something I Found at the Thrift Store. So what do we have here? This is an Acer ChromeBox. I think it's quite a neat little device. And I recommend if you ever get a chance to buy one of these for cheap at a thrift store, give one a look because they're pretty cool. They're no Raspberry Pi. They're actually pretty decent in terms of how quickly the processor works for what it's doing. And it's kind of a interesting sort of Linux kind of thing. So let's dive into this OS and we'll talk about what you can do with it. Now, unfortunately, these Chrome boxes, they get old and then they stop supporting them, just like, all things. Probably more frequently than something like a Windows system or Mac. Well, I don't know, Macs seem to like to discontinue support all the time. But that's my critique of Mac. But I got like Windows systems that are still running just fine. And yeah, they're ancient. So I don't know, I feel like Windows has a fair bit of backward compatibility. But anyway, that's me. I'm favoring an operating system. So here we go. This is the OS. I don't know if you're familiar with Chrome OS. If you aren't, then I'll give you a quick rundown. So what you get is you get a bunch of apps that are Chrome based, right? So your typical Google stuff, like docs, right? So you can open up a doc, Google Doc. There you go. And you can go, oh, I want to open up this one. I just recently opened it up to see what it looks like. And, it creates a document. And, it's got a template and And basically you can plug in the information you want. And now you got a document and you can save it to your Google Drive. It's actually pretty good for what it is. And you got, a file explorer, which would generally just show you your Google Drive and maybe some local storage. I've got a few other things that I have set up, so I'll get into that a little later as we progress through. So that's sort of the interface for you. It's sort of, I feel like it's almost like Android-ish in how it looks. And you can get other things other than, just Google Drive or Google Docs and stuff. There is like a text editor. Excuse me, sorry. Text editor, a Chrome canvas, kind of drawing tool, calculator, the kind of stuff that you'd expect for most operating systems. So let's see. Oh, look at that. It actually adds up. So pretty straightforward. It has this little clock thingy going on. What else? So let's get into digging into, well, these are sort of other things that you need to get into later. I'm just trying to think. Oh, let's do a test of YouTube. I think that's always a good thing to do. Now remember, this thing loses support, and once it loses support, you don't have the support you used to have for things like, your browser. Your browser gets stuck at a certain point, right? So it's like you're running like an old browser, essentially. What is this? It's not. Let's just close this out. Oops. There we go. Shrink it down. Yeah. install it. You can do everything. I don't think we really need it, so let's just close it out. All right, so here we go. So here are some videos from a very awesome channel that you probably watch all the time. Just kidding. It's my channel. And thanks for all the subscribers and comments and stuff that you guys do. Kind of makes it worth it. I'm not getting paid for this stuff. It's just something I like to do. It's for hobby.
Okay, guys, we're back with the Frankenstein Raspberry Pi.
Looks like it's working well.
Running at a nice moderate 38 degrees. And this is a follow-up to the last video. I was running, it would have been Debian Bookworm, is what it's based on, of the Raspberry Pi.
No drop frames.
And it wasn't working very well. It was very, very slow. This is still slow. I mean, it's not practical in my opinion, to take so long to open, say, Writer. But anyway, or open up a web page. Very slow. But the difference is I can actually get it to play a video on YouTube. So
okay, so I think we can see that this thing works completely fine with YouTube at this point.
This is the improved version.
Okay. Oops, I'm clicking the wrong thing. Clicking the online Xbox there. All right, so there you go. So yeah, there you go. I'm just gonna put my glasses down there for a second. So yeah, so there you go. That's sort of a good test, practical test. So it runs YouTube fine. Why wouldn't it, right? It's designed by, like, it's a Google thing, right? So you'd expect it to do YouTube. But what's interesting about that is that it is actually pretty functional. And when I compare it to, say, a Raspberry Pi, I mean, maybe the latest ones are awesome, but this isn't, this is kind of an older unit, and it still has great performance for what it does. And I'm going to tell you another trick you can do, and I think it's worth investing your time in, because you can do a lot with this just as it is with the Chrome apps that they provide. But what you want to do is you want to really get into the Linux side of things. So if you go to your settings, I believe it's settings. Yeah, so let's go down to settings. We'll just roll down here. There's all kinds of settings here you can do. This is where you manage your apps. I guess I could show you. There you go. So there's a set of apps that have been set up on this. So you can manage your apps that way. But here we go. Let's drop this down. And this in the advanced section gives you, if you scroll down far enough here, gives you an option for developers. And they call it Linux Development Environment Beta. You want to basically activate this. You need to give it basically an amount of space to use, and you can change that here. And mainly you want to give it as much space you can, really, because once your other stuff can be stored to Google Drive. So really, don't waste too much space with the actual Chrome OS, because you're going to want to be able to save files in your actual Linux system. So once you get that set up, you can actually easily remove it too, by the way, clicking that. You can set up a Linux system, and it creates its own little file system, and it kind of coexists together. The other thing I want you to point out to you is, if you ever get one of these things, like from their store, you can reset it, sort of, they call it power wash or whatever, and it basically resets the OS to its original sort of factory state. So that's really nice because it wipes everything that was previously on the system. Anybody's, like, if they had an account on it, you can wipe, and if you're gonna, give away the unit, you can hit reset, and you get rid of all your data on there. So that's kind of nice. It's called Power Wash. So it also kind of is a great thing when you get one of these things from the thrift store. You can actually kind of easily get up to working condition, and then you've got to do whatever you can to get it to the condition you want it to be by adding your apps and things. So let's just take a look quickly at the Linux side of things. So once you go into developer mode and put Linux on there, now you have access to Linux proper, and you can do all kinds of stuff with it. So you can install, for example, terminology, a terminal. You have a terminal. What are the chances? And let's go back in here. Let's take a look at some of the other stuff I've got set up. So there's a bunch of things I typically use in a Linux environment. I like Mousepad. I've mentioned Zim already, but Zim is great for like a desktop wiki. You want an image, manipulation program kind of thing. You want Office, right? You want an Office setup. I usually like VLC, so you can set up some basic stuff, in Archiver and all that sort of thing. You can set up some basic things with Linux, and then you've got your familiar apps that you use in other environments. Now you could, because you have access to the terminal, you really can install whatever you want from here. So, for example, I installed NeoFetch just to kind of give you a little Linuxy look at this thing. So there you go. So it's based on Linux 10 Buster, and there you go. There's some info about it. So there you go. It's a little explanation of what this thing's running. Now let's go over here. Let's go into let's see here. Explore. Oh no, that's just the Chrome thing. Sorry. Let's try again, shall we? All right. Settings. There we go. So let's see here. Storage management. Here we go. So you can see how much storage you have available. So it's really low amount of storage, and I think that's the big problem with this little guy. It isn't that it doesn't run very well. They've just given you so little storage that you could never use it for like Windows, and I think that's and they want you to get dependent upon Google Drive. So that's really the weakness of these little ChromeBoxes, is that they really have limited you to your space, your storage space. Now, there may be a way of expanding that. I don't know. I haven't looked into it. When I get one of these systems for a few bucks, it's not really worth my time to, invest in another, maybe a flash drive that'll work. Maybe it won't. Who knows? I just kind of pretty much leave it as is, because that's what I like doing, is leaving it fairly stock, just so that I have something to fool around with. And if I want to go the next level, and of course after I get tired of using this long enough, I probably will, then I might remove the screw that allows you to just put Linux proper on it, whatever version you want, instead of this developer mode sort of thing they got going on. But anyway, there you go. That gives you the breakdown of how much space the systems get. I've given it as this amount of space, and Linux I've given it this amount of space. And then, you know, it doesn't have a whole lot of space for this Chrome OS to work with, but, you know, a little bit. So it gives my Linux OS as much space as I can give it. Now, let's see here. What else can I show you? There's a diagnostic that I think is worth seeing. Let's see if I got that handy. Is it diagnostic? This, of course, is how you find things. Diagnostic. There we go. So this gives us, like, more or less your task manager in other systems. So it also allows you to do a memory test. But you can see the memory is pretty maxed out, with obviously it having 4 gigabytes. So it's a fairly limited system, about 4 megabytes of RAM, a Celeron 1.5, so it has 2 threads, so it's, you know, a dual core system. But despite that, it being what it is, it still runs better than a Raspberry Pi 3, which has 4 cores, but they never put enough RAM in the thing. So, yeah, just a different story there. But this one, you know, is also limited, right? You're kind of stuck with Chrome, or you can venture into the sketchy territory of unscrewing safety things in it to unlock it, jailbreak it, whatever you want to call it, and put whatever flavor of Unix and Linux and things like that you like, Unix-like operating systems. But I find it actually works pretty well. I mean, obviously you can see that it plays videos. It basically is a great environment if you like, you know, Buster in terms of an OS. And if, say, you're into coding or something, you could easily set up a nice coding system with it. You could set up, you know, the apps you kind of like to use, and not just be stuck with, you know, the Google ecosystem. You can kind of expand yourself into, you know, using LibreOffice and the things that you might like to use in a Linux environment, while still having the best of both worlds, which I think is actually pretty good. And I mean, I find it runs fairly well. Let's test it out here. Let's open up Writer. Let's see how quickly it opens compared to our Pi 3 experience. So yeah, it's taking a second, but there you go. You're up and running. So right away you can see it does pretty quick. It does pretty well, pretty quickly, you know. Yeah, it's, you know, it does its thing. It works. It works. There we go. It's off the page. See here. There we go. That's more like it. So yeah, I mean, it's responsive, more responsive than the Pi, sadly. But, you know, we're talking about a Pi 3, so it just is what it is. I think Pi 3, I think, is a good Kali Linux system to me. I think that's the ideal. Or, you know, if you like to use the pins to actually do something with it, you got lots of potential there too, right? But anyway, they're just different systems, different target markets. Like if you're a maker, creator type person who wants to be able to get out a breadboard and start doing something creative with electronics, well, you can't beat a Pi, I think. I just think it has a lot of support. Anyway, here we go. This is up and running very quick. in a flash. So, I mean, it's probably a little bit of an older version too. Let's take a look. About yeah, 2018. So that could even be why it's running a bit better. But yeah, there you go. So let's just go here. Okay, let's sum that up. And let's go 2. Oops, I hit 2. 2 plus 2 plus 2 is 6. 3 plus 3, whoops. 3 plus 3 is 9. Yeah, so it works. It works. It works. So there you go, guys. I mean, you know, it's Linux. Linux running on a ChromeBox. And I mean, honestly, I think you could probably find a lot for Buster, download it, set it up, and you could probably get whatever you do on Linux. I don't know what you do on Linux, but whatever you're doing on Linux, you could probably do it using this kind of a system. Or, like I said, I believe you can take this whole thing apart. It's actually not that hard. I think I saw something online where somebody took it apart, and I think you remove a certain screw or something, and it allows you to flash the internal storage to basically run a version of Linux, whatever flavor that you particularly like. You'd probably have to experiment and find out what runs best on this thing. But I think it's a really cool unit, and yeah, I'm glad I pulled it out here to show you guys. I've messed around with it a little bit, but like the Pi, I've got to set it up and fool around with it to get it going. And I don't know, I have a lot of projects I like to play with, so I haven't really done a whole lot with this beyond just setting up Linux on it, or the beta Linux, whatever they call it, the developer mode, and just playing around with it to see how it performs. It's more of a performance test so far, but I like it. I really do think it's a very cool little system. So, I mean, I don't know. I think it's pretty cool, you know? So, I'm gonna just turn it off. Don't want to show you my stuff. That's the other thing about it that's really cool. It boots up and turns on and turns off really quickly. I kind of like that, right? So, to me, like that's something that's really nice to be able to do if you are setting up a little system like this. It's boot time. Like, how quickly do you want this thing to get going, right? So you turn it on, okay, turn it on. Let's see how long it takes to boot up. Chrome OS. And I'm ready to log in. That's pretty fast. And from here, it really is fast even to do that, right? So there you go, guys. So I'm gonna call this a video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you're having a great Saturday. And I'll talk to you in the next video.